haven't been seeing a lot of changes on those.
They may ask, but they're not going to get it.
Say again?
Let's hope.
Oh, no, that's
They'll
not
hit a
good.
brick wall.
Projects that are currently in process, YB High School chemistry, the new chemistry building is nearing completion. I have some pictures for that real quick. Northgate High School mobilized this week to start that project. Prospect High School is in process right now. They're probably about 20% complete. And we just started the pre-construction with the Mount Diablo High School renovation of the PE building.
Is that gonna impact the pool any?
No. Any questions on any projects we completed thus far? Again, the lighting at YB. This is the new chemistry building at YB. Accelerated program schedule. Again, just a quick reminder that we accelerated the middle school science buildings. Right now, we're currently in phase 2 at Diablo View, Pine Hollow, Pleasant Hill, and Sequoia Middle School. And they're at various stages of completion. We're still on track to complete by the start of school next year. Portable replacements, again, we're in phase 2. Classrooms at Woodside, Silverwood, Gregory Gardens, Strandwood, Eagle Peak, again at various stages of completion, on track to complete by the start of school. Next 90 days, obviously when we put together the 90 days, we like to see DSA close out some of our projects. So all these projects will continue to be on here until we see DSA approval on those. We have a large volume that are currently in that process. Some of the other highlights on there, DSA and county health approval for the concession restroom at Clayton Valley High School. Any questions on the next 90 days?
Where's the hazmat going? What's going on there, the last one?
As we enter into the modernization phase, we want to be prepared for interior modifications. We'll probably go out and get a hazmat consultant to do any of the initial surveys, start to work with us on developing some specifications for interior work. And we want to be prepared to do all of those functions as we move into the modernization. So within the next 90 days, we'd like to do an RFQ for hazmat services that will be available to us as we move into the modernization.
How big of an unknown is that?
It's becoming less of an unknown as we move through. We have an idea on what's out there, but we're asking them to come in and confirm depending on what scope of work we have. Most of our roofs, we've abated most of our items. The biggest things we need is, one of the big things in the modernization, we want to try to remove as much of the asbestos tile that's remaining throughout the district. If there's any ceiling tile, we'd like to be able to do that. So we usually like to confirm and take some samples on that. Sometimes just looking at a ceiling tile, you might think it's asbestos or not think it's asbestos, and then we get into the construction and say, no, this looks like asbestos, and we have to test it, and we may find it's asbestos. So we want to do that up front to save us time during the construction process.
Asbestos can be a very big expense, so have you had that actually on any of the other projects? Do you see the big surprise on a lot of hazmat?
We didn't have a lot of surprises. The closest thing to a surprise we had is at Val Verde, we encountered one building that had ceiling tile that didn't have the appearance of asbestos, but when we got into it and we did some testing, it said, no, this is asbestos. So we had to remove about 2,000 square foot of ceiling tile while we were doing the HVAC renovation. And we abated that, and then we brought in new ceiling tile onto it. into, that program during the HVAC.
Okay, good.
There was some of that under the 2002 bond, when they had to open up a couple of walls.
Right, I know, it can be a really big thing.
Yeah, what they
Terrible.
found was that the pipes were all wrapped
Yeah,
with asbestos
yeah,
insulation.
that's kind of a no-brainer,
Yeah, and that was I mean, they had to shut down the whole project.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bring in hazmat teams, pull all the stuff out,
Yeah.
clean up, off.
Well, and a lot of times, we'll tell the contractor to assume that you're going to find asbestos materials. That's problematic, because then you have a contractor that's going to throw money onto their bid. Oh, well, they're gonna assume that there's materials back there. If we test ahead of time, we can usually clarify that ahead of time before we get into the contract. It doesn't mean when you open a wall, you're not gonna find pipe lagging, and things like that.
But there has to be, in one of my last projects was just so much asbestos, and when you do modernization in particular, then we just have to remove every single piece of gypsum wallboard inside the building, just because it was impossible to wire it and to do any work or replace walls, because everything was asbestos, so we just stripped the whole building down to bare bones.
We haven't found a lot of asbestos,
And gypsum, like the massive.
gypsum, but we found it in the joint compounds.
Well, that's what happened actually. So sometimes instead of doing a Swiss cheese approach where you're trying to work around and every single opening in the wall becomes an issue because a certified contractor has to do it, it becomes more cost efficient to just strip the whole building out of the gypsum and replace everything. So of course it depends on how much modernization you're doing, but you cannot just drill or even a nail in a wall that's considered hot.
Right.
Even just mastic.
We try to, when we encounter it, we try to abate it.
Okay, so it's more of a localized work, that's why you have to do it in extensive. So basically what you're saying is that there's still mastic out there that's hot, and due to the fact that the buildings are not extensively remodeled, they don't even have to abate them. Is that kind of a true statement?
On the interior, yes. I
And
mean,
interior,
obviously,
obviously.
we'd love to see, large-scale interior. The last bond measure, we did almost all of the exterior of the buildings, we painted them and things like that. Now, we're approaching the need to paint them again. However, it would be really nice to do some large interior modifications. A lot of these classrooms haven't been improved inside for a number of years. A lot of that's because a lot of times the instructor has so much on the wall and things like that, that it's difficult to get in and do that. But obviously, that'd be a great thing to be able to go in and do. But it can be also expensive too.
Just a funny observation, so they wouldn't allow a contractor to touch hot mastic or, a nail, as I said, on the wall because it has asbestos. But at the same time, teachers and students are touching their stuff to the wall the whole time, so they're getting into those hot mastic walls all the time, which is kind of one of those.
Not on the new buildings, that would.
Well, not on the new buildings obviously, but on everything that's older, still kind of
Any questions on the
Paradox.
project so far?
right.
And before I get into that, I want to go over the budget updates. We had a few budget updates. Last quarter, we had interest in the amount of $133,429 for the last quarter. That was October 1st of 13 to December 30th of 13. We reallocated 14 million plus from the solar budget column to the program contingency. That was monies that was unexpended, we didn't expend as part of the solar program, so that went back into the program contingency. We said we were gonna do that as one of the 90-day items from the last quarter. HVAC projects, we allocated approximately $8.3 million from the program contingency to the last group of HVAC projects, because the budgets that we had were from 2010, so we knew there was an increase in the economy